The monsters of the Florian Triangle is something that's been sitting in the back of our mind for a while now, but today I'm going to tell you exactly what they are, what their plans are, and a certain specific character that's directly tied in with them.
Warning.
Chapter 490 has been out for 14 years now, so I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm the first person to debut this idea, the first person to create this theory, none of that. But this theory is of my own interpretation of the manga, using my own research and my own ideas. This is of my own work. And without further ado, let's explore the mysteries of the Florian Triangle monsters and figure out who they are. So these monsters have been floating around Thriller Bark in the Florian Triangle for a while now, and they look like really tall creatures with red piercing eyes, and they're just circling around Thriller Bark. One thing they make me think of is Zunisha. They have like this big shadow-like kind of entity, and they're just walking around in the ocean. They must be really tall, because I don't think the ocean is shallow. So these guys might be related to Zunisha in some kind of way, maybe metaphorically or literally. They could be elephants, something like that. But for sure they remind me and make me think of Zunisha. One thing I find ironic is that the Florian Triangle and these monsters are conveniently located right by like the world government facilities. You have Ennie's Lobby, Old Marine Ford, Impel Down, etc. I feel like this is way too convenient. Like if the world government wanted to take advantage of these creatures, or if they knew about these creatures, it would make sense. It's way too close to these facilities. One thing I find really cool though is that Oda actually confirmed that the Florian Triangle is based on the Bermuda Triangle in real life. And if you're not familiar with the Bermuda Triangle, it's basically a location by Florida where ships and planes go missing all the time, and it's honestly really spooky. And one really cool thing is that the name Florian is based off the state Florida. Now this is actually concrete evidence that Oda watches my videos, because I'm from Florida. Like this dude made a whole location in One Piece just for me, so shout out to you, Ichiro Oda. Nah, but in all seriousness, I do have a question. How the fuck did Gecko Moria never notice these monsters? Like they completely dwarf Thriller Bark, and there's no way Gecko Moria wouldn't have noticed them by now. Like these things are so damn massive. Like how do you not see that? You've been on this island for what, 12 years or something? How do you not see that? It makes your little island, Thriller Bark, look like an ant. I also feel like Gecko Moria would take advantage of these monsters, whether he steals their shadows or just makes them join the crew. I feel like he would have to take advantage of them, because if they're this tall, if they're this massive, they gotta be strong. I can't imagine these tall ass monsters are like mountains. I can imagine that they'd be small. So how did Gecko Moria not see these monsters and or even think like, oh man, I need their shadows? Like, come on bro, Oda, what you doing bro? And low-key, I feel like these Florian Triangle monsters could destroy Thriller Bark if they wanted to. Like again, they're massive and there's a few of them. Like Gecko Moria better never piss them off. Like these guys would easily like neg diff Thriller Bark. Like come on bro. Now there's actually Japanese folklore that explain what these Florian Triangle monsters are, and in my opinion these Florian Triangle monsters are umibozus. So basically there's these creatures in Japanese folklore called umibozus, with umi meaning sea and bozu meaning priest. Now if you look up pictures of umibozus and their depiction and them in paintings and all that kind of stuff, they look like they could fit the depiction of what One Piece has. Now umibozus are actually these sea spirits that were known for sinking ships, and this does kind of match what goes on in the Florian Triangle. Like we're told that these ships are always going missing, at least the people on the ships are going missing. Like this completely matches what we know about umibozus in real life. And supposedly umibozus are vengeful spirits of priests who drown at sea. Now I don't know any priests or any kind of church people in One Piece, but maybe this could apply to celestial dragons or maybe like religious people in One Piece we might have not seen it. Like I'm not sure if this will apply to the story of One Piece, but if Oda wanted to fit it in the future, I guess he could. Now another thing known about umibozus is that they could be as tall as mountains, and when we see these Florian Triangles at the end of the Thriller Bark saga or arc, they do look pretty damn tall and they could be a mountain, but they still have these red eyes and they pierce you in the anime and the manga, so it leads me to believe that these are creatures. And in the manga they also said that these shadows are moving, so I definitely believe that these Florian Triangle monsters are not just mountains, these are umibozus. Now another piece of the legend for umibozus is that they sometimes let out a voice saying ya ya. Now I find this really interesting because they might be speaking Twizzy language, and they might actually be fans of Yi. Now one of the weaknesses behind umibozus is actually tobacco smoke. So when I read this I was thinking, damn, like pre-time skip Sanji should be able to low diff them, neg diff them, and don't even get me started with Smoker. This crackhead Smoker will literally have a mask on with still another 2 cigars. Like either way, Smoker and Sanji should have no problem like fighting these Florian Triangle monsters, so leave it up to them, I guess. Now, as far as attacking goes, Umibozus will either immediately attack a ship, or they'll ask the people on a ship for a barrel. And what they'll do is that they'll get this barrel, put it in the water, fill it with water, and dump it onto the people on the ship and pretty much drown them. The only way to like avoid this and to, you know, get away and live from Umibozus is to give them a bottomless barrel. They'll be confused and disorientated, and you could just sail away and survive. Now, I'm not actually sure how this could be applied to One Piece. It does seem kind of silly and random, but maybe, you know, we'll have the Straw Hats go back to the Florian Triangle. They'll ask for a barrel, and Usopp or Luffy gives them a bottomless one, and they sail away. Maybe that's something Oda could do for like a comedic factor, but like I just don't know how this could be applied to the story. Now, another piece of the legend for Umibozus is that they would go to ships and kidnap the boat owner. This could be explaining why all the ships in Florian Triangle are just floating like ghost ships. There's nobody on the boats. It's kind of like they're abandoned. Maybe these Florian Triangle monsters, aka Umibozus, are grabbing people off the ships and eating them or doing some crazy shit. Now, I want to talk about the Florian Triangle monsters, aka Umibozus, and what they're going to be doing in the future. Like I said, the Florian Triangle is way too convenient being next to 3 world government facilities, so I feel like that's definitely going to come into play. Like, the Florian Triangle monsters shouldn't even have a hard time walking to Marijois. We do know that Momonosuke is able to talk to Zunisha and command Zunisha, so maybe the same will apply to these Florian Triangle monsters. Like maybe sometime in the future, Momonosuke will be sailing with Luffy, and he'll be able to control the Florian Triangle monsters. One of my safe headcanons in One Piece is that the final war is going to take place at Marijois, so maybe Momonosuke is going to be with Luffy, maybe Momonosuke is still aged up, and he commands not only Zunisha to pull up to Marijois, but the Florian Triangle monsters as well. Maybe they'll even walk up to Marijois and he'll see them and he'll try to communicate, and they'll attack the world government. That would be insane. Now, we do know that Zunisha was punished for a crime many centuries ago, so I'm thinking maybe that the world government put this punishment, like the world government's essentially controlling Zunisha. What if they're controlling the Florian Triangle monsters as well? Like, what if those guys have some type of curse or some kind of spell or punishment, or they're just walking around and just killing all sorts of people, all sorts of pirates for the world government? That is something pretty cool to think about. This would be a sick setup for Momonosuke because, like we said earlier, he did command and control Zunisha, so who's to say he can't control and command the Florian Triangle monsters? Now, one really cool thing I noticed is that Umi and Umibozu mean sea, and if you take the name Imu and move it backwards, that's Umi meaning sea as well. So maybe this is a slight hint that Imu controls the Umibozus or controls the sea to some extent, and especially with these guys being near the world government facilities, it's not that much of a reach to say Imu, aka Umi, would control these monsters that are conveniently by the world government facilities. Now, another really cool thing I noticed is that Imu in Japanese katakana can mean Buddha, and Umibozus are also coined as sea monks, which is really funny and ironic because monks teach Buddhist laws. Now, if you see where I'm going with this, these Umibozus are following Imu. Now, I'm not really a fan of those One Piece theories that deal with eyes, you know, Cavendish, Imu, Mihawk, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a fan of that, but I do find it really particular and really clever to have these Florian Triangle monsters have these red piercing eyes, almost like Imu. Like, I feel like there's a little tiny little, hey, Emu's connected to this. I feel like there's a slight little hint. Regardless, if the Florian Triangle monsters are based off Umibozus, I'm led to believe that they are somehow, some way connected to Imu. Another idea I had is that maybe Imu can control the Florian Triangle monsters as some kind of secret ultimate weapon. Now, we would need to question why he didn't do this in Enies Lobby or Marineford, but maybe it's just under like extreme circumstances, maybe like a final war kind of situation. Like maybe Oda or Imu is saving this for like the perfect moment. Another interesting thing to think about is like, what if these Florian Triangle monsters, these Umibozus, are actually an ancient weapon? Now, they can't be Uranus because that's like sky related. They can't be Poseidon, obviously, but like, what if they're Pluton? You could argue that Pluton is a warship and it had a blueprint, but that could be a red herring. It could be a misdirection, and this is a whole separate theory, but I'm thinking like, what if Pluton's like a person or a creature, and it's not like the blueprint on how to like create the creature and build the creature, but like a blueprint of like, hey, Pluton's gonna be born in this location during this time frame. That's a whole separate theory. If you're interested, I guess comment down below for it. But anyways, to get back on topic, the Straw Hats are gonna sail through the New World, and they're gonna have to cross the red line again. Now, this does mean that Brook's gonna reunite with Laboon. It's gonna be beautiful, but they're gonna keep sailing forwards and past the islands they already once saw, and that means that they're gonna have to pass by Thriller Bark in the Florian Triangle again. So maybe this time they're actually gonna cross the path of the monsters, and they're gonna have some kind of battle or some kind kind of crazy thing at sea. But if not, then maybe they just pass them again, they make it to Marijois, and Momonosuke commands them to come up, or Inu commands them to come up, and we see them climbing the red line and they stand on the land. Like, that would just be insane, bro. Now, one thing I did find funny is before the chapter 1037 short summary spoilers dropped, a lot of people in the leakers are saying, oh, there's a crazy shadow pulling up to Wano. I did see a lot of theories saying, oh, the Florian Triangle monsters, like, they're pulling up to Wano. Obviously that wasn't true, and it was Zunisha pulling up to Wano. To me, it made no sense for these Florian Triangle monsters to cross the red line, walk halfway through the New World, and come to Wano. That'd be way too random. But I do want to see them return to the story. Comment down below how you feel, but it was obvious that it was Zunisha coming to save Wano. And speaking about saving Wano, I definitely believe that Kaido is going to save Luffy or help Luffy in Wano. There's a video about it on screen, and I promise you it makes a lot of sense. It might sound crazy, but just give it a chance. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Peace.